More dog race east of the Mississippi began in Fort Kent this morning. 9 teams took part in the 260-mile trek through the North Maine woods. It's a true test of endurance, man and dogs against Mother Nature, and 260 miles of wilderness. It may not be as challenging as the Iditarod, but these 9 teams will be battling the elements in their quest to be crowned the first Can-Am sled dog champions. While some are out to win, others, including race organizer John Coletta, are out for the challenge.
I'm ready to go. I'm not real happy about drawing number 1, but just call me Trail. I mean, everyone's going to be passing me on the way out, but if my dogs are ready, I'm ready. Just taking this as a long camping trip. I'm just going to enjoy it.
The mushers don't just harness up the dogs and take off. First of all, they have to make sure that they have all of the safety equipment needed for 2 full days in the woods. They have a checklist that has to be filled out before they're able to take off, and all of their equipment is inspected by race organizers. All of Tony Simpson's equipment was in order. Simpson from England began sled dogging in the Antarctic when he was on exhibition work. This will be the longest race that he's ever been entered in.
My game plan is to keep the dogs happy and look after the dogs. I'm running a young team, so I'm running some very young dogs, so my priority is go around, pace the dogs and see how they're going.
Well, some might be entered in their first long sled dog race ever. Others, like Don McEwen of Ontario, are veterans of this. McEwen has been racing for over 30 years now. He's also been entered in the Iditarod on several occasions. Just last week, he won a 150-mile race in Ontario, and he's looking forward to blazing trail in another frontier.
Looking forward to it. It's a new race with no idea what's out there.
At least 6 inches of snow are forecast over northern Maine over the next 24 hours. For some teams, it will slow them down, but for others, like for Barry Young of Rousseau, Ontario, it could be to his advantage.
That'll help me. I have a fairly strong team, very powerful team, so I'm not the fastest, but I'm one of the strongest. So for the fast fellas, which there's 1 or 2 here that are really fast, the faster, the more snow will slow them down. So I like the snow.
Even though just 9 hardy teams entered this year's event, Lisa Dumas of the Fort Kent Chamber of Commerce and also of the Can-Am Crown Committee feels that this could become part of the national circuit, which includes the Bear Grease in Minnesota and the Labrador 400. Dumas also said that she couldn't believe the number of spectators who turned out to see the start of the race this morning.
Really excited, fantastic, beautiful. It was historic. It was, I think the spectators enjoyed it so much. We had the volunteers. It's just the beginning of something great. I'm very excited. I'm very happy.
And there
in the Can-Am Crown International Sled Dog Race. In the Peach Basketball
taking off from Fort Kent, Andre Neto and his 11-dog team were back in Fort Kent as the new champions of the Can-Am Sled Dog Race. Neto toured the course in 54 hours and 28 minutes. He pulled in at 3:47 this morning. Neto said it was a very challenging course and that they ran into all kinds of weather during the trip. He also went on to say that he has a very strong team of dogs and they did well through the snow.
He brought a team that was really trained for these kinds of conditions. They were stronger dogs, not as fast, but stronger, to carry a heavier load.
It was quite a sight seeing Neto coming down the railroad tracks by Violet Settlement about a mile from Fort Kent. As a matter of fact, he left Allagash at 12:05 this morning and arrived in Fort Kent at 3:47, a very quick 3-hour and 42-minute trip from the Allagash to Fort Kent. Lisa Dumas of the Can-Am Crown Committee says that she was very happy to see this many people out at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Fantastic. That I was surprised that that there was even this many people here, but I guess when I had talked to Mickey, and he called people, and they called people, and Daryl called people to come, and they just came. I mean, the interest is there, and they wanted to see this guy come across.
Neto will receive his award this evening at the American Dream Resort during an awards banquet there. And will he return next year?
If there's another race, I will return.
Defend your title.
Pour défendre la coupe. Huh? Parfait. Yes, he will.
For the news, I'm Rainey Kluge.
Begin their special report on the great Can-Am 250.
Welcome to Fort Kent, the last outpost in the final frontier. It's usually pretty quiet in these parts, except when the mushers come to town. That's when these hills come alive with the sound of huskies. It's called the Can-Am 250, a dog sled endurance race that's been known to make grown men cry. This year, 17 mushers are competing for $10,000 in prize money. The only rational question for these racers is, why do they do it? Let's start with Bob Hoyt, the mushing mailman from Ithaca, New York.
Sort of an addiction. I got started in every year, every race. I swear I'm not going to do this to myself again. And next morning I wake up and figuring ways that I can do better next year.
And what about Penny Gray? Can a woman compete in a grueling sport like dog sledding?
It can be an advantage, you know, being light, but it's also, it can weigh against you too, because you need to muscle a heavily loaded sled around. You really need the weight of a bigger person.
Of course, everyone's out to get last year's champ, Andre Nadeau. Easier said than done. They say this guy would run over his own grandmother if she got in the way of the finish line.
On dirait que tout le monde court après toi. Tout le monde te vise.
He says being a champion is a doable thing, but once you are champion, then everybody wants to bump you off, and he says that puts some kind of a pressure on him.
Now, last year, the mushers had to contend with a 15-inch snowstorm and temperatures that dropped to 38 below zero. This year, they may have to break out the suntan lotion. The race was set for Saturday, 9 a.m. The mushers lined up on Main Street, so did the fans. Sort of like a Hollywood movie. Sergeant Preston meets Call of the Wild. The racers were anxious. The dogs could hardly wait.
3, 2, 1, and they're off, the racers!
From Fort Kent, the course heads south to the town of Portage, then west to Musquecook Lake, up to the Maybeck logging camp, through Allagash, and finally down the St. John River back into Fort Kent. The winner is expected to finish sometime Monday. The first spectator point out of Fort Kent is here at Eagle Lake. So far, it's a pretty slow race. It's almost noon, and the first sleds are just getting here. You see, the Huskies don't like these balmy 30-degree temperatures. It makes the snow sticky. They'd much rather have it down around, zero. At the first checkpoint, a surprise leader, young Tim McEwen. Somehow, he broke out of the pack and reached Portage just after 2:30. Wow. Any surprises out there?
No, perfect trail, nice marked. It was real good. Just a little slow because of the temperature. That's the only problem.
Did you see anybody over your shoulder? You're leading all the way here.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody.
So the question is, where's Andre? What happened to Penny? And has anybody seen Bob Hoyt, the mushing mailman from Ithaca, New York? For those answers and more, tune in tomorrow. Until then, I'm Bob Elliott, the Can-Am 250.
Happened for the big race up in Fort Kent. They were hit with a tropical heat wave. Tonight, News Center's Bob Elliott brings us the exciting and unusual conclusion of the Can-Am 250.
When last we left you, the Can-Am 250 was off and running. Rookie Tim McEwen took the early lead, but champion Andre Nadeau was right on his heels, almost like he planned it that way.
Les chiens McEwen, ça a tout le temps été plus rapide que moi sur 100 000. C'était pareil.
He says McEwen's dogs have always been faster than mine for the first 100 miles. The miles after that will make the difference.
Most of the mushers got to the first checkpoint late Saturday. The dogs spent the break eating and sleeping while the racers tried to figure out what to do about the 30-degree temperatures. Nice weather for people, but the Huskies were overheating and sinking through the snow. Penny Gray was in third place, but already worried about her dogs. What are your thoughts so far in the race?
It's been hot.
Does that bother you more or the dogs, do you think?
It bothers the dogs a lot. It's really hard for them to go through stuff like this, you know, the heat. And But they did really well. They just kept plugging along. And
what's the strategy become now, to run at night more, or what's your plan?
Yeah, definitely. If this wasn't very good for them, I definitely would try to run at night when it's cooler.
And that's what most of the mushers did. We couldn't see them running at night, so we moved ahead to catch them at dawn coming into Musquecook Lake. One problem: during the night, the temperature went up to an even higher 40 degrees and turned all the roads to ice.
At this point, I have to apologize. There's not going to be any coverage of the race between points 1 and 2. We've been stuck on this old logging road for 4 hours now. Snow tires changed, nothing seems to help. No wonder they use dog sleds up here.
By the time we got to checkpoint 3 at the Maybeck logging camp, temperature was up to an unbelievable 50 degrees and rising. The vets were getting real worried about the dogs' heat exhaustion. The symptoms?
Dogs vomiting, don't want to eat, don't want to drink, losing a lot of fluids. They would diarrhea or vomiting. Those dogs, too, I'd like to keep here until they get back on their feet.
Now, sometimes it's hard to tell who's winning a dog sled race. For example, in between Musquecook Lake down there and the Maybeck logging camp here, there's nothing but 42 miles of deep woods and wilderness. And the only way to keep score is sit and wait and watch. The first ones that show up are in first place. The ones that don't show up, well, that means they're lost, and you got to go look for them. Finally, just after 7 a.m., a lone sled pulled into camp. The leader, Andre Nadeau. Who else? At this point, a lot of the other mushers were thinking about calling it quits. Not Andre. He was just hitting his stride.
Okay, I want a witness here. What's your name?
Gail.
Gail who?
Flag.
Okay, and you heard him say that he wants to keep going?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
By mid-afternoon, the temperature got up to an unheard-of 62 degrees. The trails were falling apart, the rivers were going underwater, and the judges had no choice but to call things off.
Canceling the race is due to the rivers are not passable, they're dangerous, and the dogs have been going through the ice, very dangerous, and they do not even want Andre to leave Maybeck. He will be place number 1 as if he would have come to the finish line.
Andre wasn't too happy with the decision. He probably would have carried his dogs to the finish line if they'd let him. Still, he got first place. Tim McEwen came in second. Penny Gray was sixth, with Bob Hoyt, the mushing mailman from Ithaca, New York, finishing in 9th. Profound thoughts so far, or not so profound thoughts? What do you think so far?
I still don't know why I do this.
Hard to believe. Last year it was 38 below. This year it was 62 above. Talk about a meltdown. That's a 100-degree difference. What in the world can we expect next year? A typhoon?
First place goes to Andre Nadeau. Andre Nadeau. Andre Nadeau.
In Fort Kent, Bob Elliott, News Center.
The pictures. Tonight, photographer Steve Phillips' version of that race.
Good luck. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a team, yeah?
Yep.
See anybody over your shoulders? You're leading all the way here.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody.
Les filles à McEwen, ça a tout le temps été plus rapide que moi sur 100 000. C'est apparent.
He says McEwen's dogs have always been faster than mine for the first 100 miles. The next, the miles after that will make the difference.
What are your thoughts so far on the race?
It's been hot.
Does that bother you more or the dogs, do you think?
It bothers the dogs a lot.
I was dipping.
I mean, counting, every lips are going.
So good. I'm going to stay here for about 4 hours and then push on and try to get the next checkpoint just about daybreak.
Mayback to Fort Kent. Yeah, canceling the race is due to the rivers are not passable, they're dangerous, and the dogs have been going through the ice, very dangerous, and they do not even want Andre to leave Mayback. He will be place number 1 as he would have come to the finish line.
First place goes to Andre Nadeau. Andre Nadeau. Andre Nadeau.
That'll do it for us, Pete Shirley. News stories in Curry this week is Sarah James. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Katie, Matt. Now, good morning again, everyone. From Arkansas to West Virginia this morning, thousands of people continue to cope with natural
La poussière, look at the poussière. We have quite a crowd here today, and it's turning out to be a real wintry day. And it's turning out to be a real wintry day. If we look at the flags, the wind has picked up quite a bit, and you can see the snow coming off the roof of Key Bank over here. It's about 15 degrees. So the mushers and the dogs will be very happy. It's not getting any warmer, that's for sure. Matter of fact, I'm afraid for the people on the stand there. They're not used to being out in the cold like that. As a matter of fact, 2 minutes later, here we have what looks like a blizzard. If you look at downtown Fort Kent, can't see a thing.
Oh, it's really good.
It's real windy, the snow's coming, being blown all over the place.
Ready? 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's a real wintry day.
Want to go for lunch? No.
Very good. Actually, we got the 250s that just left. We got all the teams off to a fine start. They're now heading up the railroad bed on their way to the Portage.
There are 12 teams, or how many?
We have 12 teams that are competing. Then we have Harry Gray, which is running Chinooks for the Kidney Foundation.
Okay.
He's not part of the race. He's not competing. He's also not one of the official entries. So they are running to collect funds for the foundation, and they are running at the back and not interfering with the other racers.
And they're planning to go all the way around?
They plan on going all the way around, they tell us, and
Good.
we will man the checkpoints and assist them in any way we can to make sure that them and their dogs cross the finish line. That is our goal, is to get all these teams across the finish line safely with them and the animals.
Great.
That's what we're
How many teams do we have in the 60 mile?
We have 18 teams in the 60, and we have some very good competitors here today, because some of the competitors didn't have much snow to train on. We have a lot of the people here, like George is one of them here, Penny Gray, people like that are normally long distance mushers for 250. But due to the lack of snow early in the season, which just has been coming lately, a lot of the long runs needed to do that type of racing has not been available. So these people, instead of putting a team through hardship of not having the proper training and have to go through a lot more care and on the dogs mentally and physically, they turn around and they go and do a 60, which then they can compete properly, and then the dogs can have a good workout out of it.
So they didn't have a chance to practice?
Like these people here didn't have a chance to practice like they normally do on early snow.
Okay.
You can see, and a lot of the competitors, like we take down in Montana, we take the Alaska people, are on snow in October.
Right.
These people, some of them never got on snow till December.
Yeah.
Then we had a toss with January. Some of them still never had a good run yet.
Yeah, so they're taking the shorter route.
We're taking the 60-mile route, which for some of the teams, they are very well ready for the 60, and they will have a good run.
Great. Well, listen, we appreciate you coming all the way from Ontario to help us out.
Anytime. It's a pleasure to come down here, because the hospitality helps us to do what we enjoy doing much, is take care of this passion that we have for the animals, and to do it greatly every winter.
Thank you very much. George Thériault. Team is being... That snow is just beautiful today. It's coming down quite hard, but there's no wind, and the flakes are real big.
Awards. I'm out here to gain knowledge and experience, and if I come in 5th, 15th or 50th, it wouldn't really worry me, because I know that the dogs that are in front of me are doing their best, and that's all that matters.
Two things you don't put together: sled dogging in Australia. That just doesn't go. Koalas maybe, but it's unique. It's something very different.
Fort Kent, Maine. This is paradise for a musher. Hereabouts, winter hangs around for nearly 6 months of the year. It's a world away from Marty's life in the Royal Australian Navy.
I never had a dog as a child, never ever. The first dog I ever had was a Siberian Husky that my wife talked me into, and that was, what, I don't know, 7 years ago.
It started as a hobby, but fast became an addiction.
I was more tempted to get physically involved with the dog, and when I heard about sled dog racing, and I thought, well, I've got a Siberian Husky here, I'll try that. And ever since then, I've just never looked back, and it's been fantastic.
Up until, I don't know, 12 hours before the race started, the trails were hard-packed, they were great, it would have been a fast race, and then everything changed.
The East Coast is being socked by another big winter storm. And
winter storm warning in effect for all of Maine.
Forecast for today, winter storm warning today into tonight. Snow and windy today.
So what did you think when you woke up this morning and saw all this snow?
I thought it was great. I did. I thought it was great. I wish it was a little bit colder. These guys really perform better when it's much colder than that. But that's the only thing. It's a little bit warm, but the snow's great.
It's amazing it's too hot for you.
Yeah, I've gotten used to it in a short period of time, I guess.
Race morning, and with the snow came the mushers. Dozens of dogs anxious to get going. Thanks, Steve. Pleasure. And their drivers, just as impatient.
You all set? Good?
All set.
Yeah?
These are Siberian Huskies. They were brought over from Siberia. Most of the dogs that you'll see today are Alaskan Huskies, which is really a crossbred animal, crossbred with hounds and so forth. And there's no question that they're faster.
18 teams, each made up of 8 Huskies, have entered the race.
What makes a good musher?
A good musher. You gotta be nuts. I like being out with the dogs, and the snow's great.
I like to ride back on the sled and see the work of the dogs.
I like better when it's colder.
People in Australia would say you're crazy.
Yes.
With the dogs checked
Okay, that's dog food.
and the sleds packed, handlers leave it to the very last moment to harness up their team.
How are the dogs?
Well, we're raring to go. They're about to pull this truck back off us if we don't get going shortly, so I better get going.
Okay.
Okay.
Best of luck.
Thanks, thanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go!
It's a staggered start. 2-minute intervals separate each team.
All the way from Sydney, Australia.
Marty draws number 3.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then they go! Let's wish them well, ladies and gentlemen. Sydney.
When we were on the trail, I knew that we were fine. I was totally relaxed. The dogs looked great. There was a few thousand people there. The dogs weren't upset with that. And just as long as they're happy, I'm happy. Going out to the first checkpoint was a beautiful run. The trail was great. There was only, had a hard base. There was only an inch or maybe an inch and a half of snow on there. And the dogs were loping nearly the whole way. That run to that first checkpoint, 30 miles, was absolutely brilliant. I thought we were in for a great day.
You have to turn them around, Grant. Turn around. Swing the sled.
At the first and only checkpoint,
Hold it.
the rookie from Down Under was on fire, holding his own against a field of world-class mushers.
Quick stop here. The dogs don't need too much rest. Do I need to sign out? Okay, all right. When we got to the first checkpoint, we watered the dogs very quickly. They didn't need much water. They were quite happy. We left that checkpoint, and from there to the finish is all uphill. And of course the snow came down and down and down. And we were going through 6 to 8 inches of snow. So we were like breaking trail, and as the other teams were too. And it was very strenuous, very hard getting from that checkpoint back home. It was amazing, and I'm glad to be in that situation. How upsetting and difficult it was, I'm glad that I've experienced it. It was really good.
Not everyone finished the race. At the halfway point, 4 teams dropped out, and at times, others wished they had too.
Straight ahead, guys.
Oh,
Kind of day we're having, isn't it?
You think quite a bit out in the trail, especially for 65 miles, you know. And you're thinking, gee, that'll be great to come in third, you know, that'd be great. But when teams pass, so be it. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Long race for a puppy, huh?
You know that the dogs have done their best, and you've done your best. You've got to be happy with that.
Come on, Amy.
And that's the way it is.
Sit here all night, we'll forget about Mrs. Beer tonight.
Okay. Congratulations.
The winner wore his victory like a crown.
Do you see the frostbite he still had on his face from earlier runs this week? I think he's been in colder weather here than he had ever been in before.
Marty was running third for much of the race. Only near the end were some of the hardened campaigners able to catch him.
All right. Good run, my man.
Thanks, Pete.
Well, what'd you think of the snow out there?
That was real hard work.
He still finished a credible 8th. Not bad for a first-time Aussie.
It's good. Dogs are great.
How do you think Marty went?
Very good. Yeah, very good. If he's done this one, it's all over. He's got it in the vein. Once you get it in the vein, it's all over. It's an addiction.
Are there times when you prefer a dog's company to
The Great Lakes doesn't look like much, does it? Blizzard conditions are occurring now across portions of the eastern coast on into Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Pleased to you, a very special person, Governor Angus King.
Good morning. How about if we get all the politicians on a sled dog and go right out of town? I drove up down the street and I said, "Where do you want the governor?" And the guy said, "South of Augusta." I don't know. It's great to be up here and see you. We're going to have some fun this morning. Great weather, great day, and we're going to turn the dogs loose, and then I'm going to do some sledding myself later on this afternoon. So it's wonderful to be here, and I guess they're going to tell us how to get this thing started. What have we got, about 5 minutes, 10 minutes? All right, 12:36. So great to see you all this morning. Let's have a great day and enjoy ourselves, and hope the weather holds throughout the end of the race. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you.
Number 1. Very interested racer here. 30 seconds to go, and the governor will begin the countdown at 10 seconds.
Oh, a good luck kiss.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
She's nervous.
3, 2, 1, off.
Some of you may have seen his dogs in the film by Walt Disney's corporation called Iron Will. They were the bad guy dogs. Today, the good guys. Bib number 2, Bill Mattel, Manchester, New Hampshire. 36. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're off.
There goes the governor.
Next up.